Well, good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Housing Commission's October 1st, 2025 regular Housing Commission meeting. This is a hybrid meeting with the Housing Commission members, city staff, and members of the public participating in the Oak Conference Room via Zoom. And the meeting is called to order at 6:31 p.m. I'd like to go into roll call here and introduce staff and Housing Commission members present. We have with staff with us here today, Housing Manager Tim Wong and Management Analyst Ariana Milton. And going on to Commissioner roll call, Vice Chair is absent. Commissioner Chapa. Hi. Commissioner Dumont. Here. Commissioner Cranen here. Commissioner Orsler here. Chair Schweitzer's here, and Commissioner Wong. Hi. And we do have you attending remote. Do you have a few words to speak on that?
I am attending remote because of unexpected childcare reasons.
Right. Thank you for that. All right, well, Ariana, will you please provide some instructions to the Housing Commission members and the public how this meeting will proceed?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Schweitzer and members of the Housing Commission. Welcome to the October 1st regular meeting of the Housing Commission, and thank you for attending. Staff will engage cameras and microphones and make presentations and respond to the members of the Housing Commission. For members of the public who are in attendance and wish to provide public comments on the item for tonight's agenda, after the chair calls for public comments on the item you wish to speak on, please engage the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen for virtual participants. For those who are calling in from a landline or a cell phone, please press *9. And for those in person, please complete a speaker card and bring it to me directly. That will conclude the instructions, and I return the meeting to the chair.
Thank you. Now we can move along to public comment. So under public comment, the public may address the Housing Commission on any subject that's not listed on the agenda. Each speaker may address the Housing Commission once under the public comment for a limit of 3 minutes. You are not required to provide your name or city of residence, but it is helpful. The Housing Commission cannot act on items not listed on the agenda. So therefore, the Housing Commission cannot respond to non-agenda items brought up under public comment, aside from providing some general information. And with that, don't see anyone in the room, but do we have any public comment online?
Check right after you. There's no one here in the room for public comment, and there is no one online as well.
All right, well, moving on to some presentations. So first, we have a presentation on the introduction to the below market rate guidelines. And we have Management Analyst Ariana Milton making presentation.
Yes. Thank you, Chair Schweitzer and staff, members of the public present. Tonight, I'm just going to be giving you a high-level introductory presentation to the below market rate guidelines. So let's start off with what BMR is. So BMR stands for below market rate, or is commonly referred to as affordable housing. Per section 101 of the guidelines, the BMR program is intended to increase the supply of affordable housing in Menlo Park through developers who want to build commercial, residential, or mixed-use projects. And this can be accomplished by either requiring a percentage of the proposed project units to be BMR units, payment of commercial in lieu fees to go towards the BMR housing fund, land acquisition, or rehab of existing units. So along with the BMR guidelines, the biggest factor in determining the cost of BMR rents or housing payments would be the San Mateo County income limits. So those income limits are established by the Department of Housing and Community Development, which is also known as HCD. And those limits are used in determining a household's eligibility to participate in different housing assistance programs like the BMR housing program. And these limits are also adjusted annually by HCD. And just as like, I don't know if I call it fun fact, but just fact, San Mateo County's income limits are the highest in California, and they're tied with San Francisco and Marin County.
And all of these are, all the categories here are BMR, right?
Yeah, this would be for affordable housing.
So all that's affordable,
Mhm.
okay. Sometimes we get more specific about it, right? But
And just to point out real quick, acutely low, we have never worked with that, but that was just recently introduced by the state. That's more for the homeless, if you will.
sure.
I guess a question about these, sorry, we should save for the end, but are they just like I know for many other things, it's percentage of AMI. Are the low and extremely low all just percentages here, or does HCD have a different criteria for them than?
Each category, like extremely low, very low, or low as a certain percentage.
Oh,
of the-
right, okay, I'm just asking, is that
AMI.
also HCD's definition? Cause I know that, okay.
I will say it is historically, yeah, low has been 80% AMI, and typically it is. But HCD, I will say over the years, has tweaked it.
Okay.
This is they release incomes on an annual basis. And it's like a multi-page thing with all the different counties, but I think the first 4 or 5 pages are their caveats or their
Oh,
explanations.
Yeah.
And how HCD does it, but yes, typically it's 120 for moderate, 80 for low, 50 for very low. But it's not a straight calculation at times.
Okay, so let's get into the BMR contribution requirements. So according to section 3.4 of the BMR guidelines, the number of BMR units that developers are required to provide are as follows. So for rental units, if a developer has a proposed project and they want to build 1 to 4 units, they're not required to provide a BMR unit. Now, if they go from 5 to 9 units in their proposal, then they have to provide 1 BMR unit. If they're going from 10 to 19, then we require that they provide 10% of those units to be BMR units. And then lastly, for 20 or above units, we require 15%. Now, those are for rental units. I also wanted to include ownership as well. The contribution breakdown is the same, but the thing to note is that the affordability is specifically only for moderate. It doesn't, include low, very low. So to get into the rental standards and how BMR rents are calculated, per section 11.1.2 of the guidelines, BMR units cannot be rented out for more than 30% of the income limit for an extremely low, very low or subsidized low households, with an adjustment for household occupancy. So how many people would be assumed to be living in the unit? Also written in that section, the guidelines dictate that BMR units cannot exceed 75% of the market rate rents. That rent cap is used as like a protective measure for potential low income renters. And as far as the standard of the unit itself, BMR units must be comparable in size, condition, and material to market rate units. They can't have any like glaring differences, and they can't be like distinguished as being different from like a market rate unit. Everything should be the same across the board. Yeah.
Question, so on the previous one, the in lieu of, does that mean you can have an all 100% market and you pay a fee? Is that, did I understand that correctly?
Actually.
Okay,
can we
sorry.
get- Yeah, sorry.
So I jumped the gun.
I love your questions. So we get there.
Okay.
Sorry. So yeah, as I was saying, the standard of the unit must be comparable to market rate units. And then as far as billing the unit itself, There is a preference written in the guidelines, for people who either live or work in Menlo Park. So that's important to know. So as far as the calculation goes, the maximum affordable BMR rent is based on the assumed household size and also utilities. Households with an income over 80% AMI are not eligible to apply for these type of units. And the assumed household size is based off of 1.5 persons per bedroom. So if you have a studio, it would be household size, assumed household size of 1. If it was a 1-bedroom, it'd be 1.5. 2-bedroom, it would be 3. You're essentially just adding per bedroom 1.5 people, and that's what your assumed household size would be.
Again, that's the assumed household size is ordered to set the rent for the unit. It may be different because you may have a different actual household size, but to start to set the rent.
But so you could have a 3.5 household size or something like that.
You can have a 4.5 for a 3,
Yes, yes.
or a 1.5 for a 1.
And then the maximum rent would be in between those two or something, or, you know,
Correct.
I guess you'd have to do a calculation.
Calculation.
between the two. Okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Okay. So, I just wanted to provide an example. So 2-bedroom at a low income level example. So right here, according to the San Mateo County income limits, for a low income household with an assumed household size of 3 people, that income limit would be $141,000. And again, that is considering that the household size is 1.5 per bedroom times 2. That, and so multiplying 141,000 by 30%, that comes out to around 42,300. Then taking that, dividing it by 12 months, will give you a maximum BMR rent of $3,525 per month. Now, utilities also do factor into this, but utilities, they could either be paid by the landlord, or they must be subtracted from the maximum rent.
Is that based on like expected utilities or actual?
We have a utility allowance,
I see.
and then we then take that based on the unit size and assumed household size, and then subtract it from the maximum.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay, so getting into a few other requirements. So other BMR rental requirements include annual tenant recertification and the process for having like over income tenants, because that does happen. So all those who occupy a BMR unit are subject to an annual tenant recertification on or before July 1st, per section 11.1.8 of the BMR guidelines. A BMR tenant no longer qualifies to stay in the unit if their income becomes ineligible, i.e. it doesn't meet the requirement for 2 consecutive years. And a lot of times that is due to over income. This again can be due to over income, or having a household income that is over the 80% AMI. And then per section 11.1.7 of the guidelines, if the tenants in the BMR unit become ineligible to continue living there and want to continue living there, then the unit becomes a market rate unit. And so then they would have to pay market rate rent. And the next available comparable unit would be the BMR unit.
Mm.
And that unit would have to be same size, same number of bedrooms.
In a mixed
Mhm.
development.
Yes. Okay, so we talked about rents, let's talk about ownership. So outlined in section 7 of the BMR guidelines, all BMR ownership units shall be subjected to a 55-year deed restriction condition under which the city will be entitled to purchase the property, and this helps maintain affordability. Additional post-purchase restrictions also include appreciation, city right to purchase, and the person who is applying or trying to get the unit needs to live in the unit primarily. That means that they can't live in another house and try to use that unit to be rented out. And also technically the guidelines state that the person has to be a first-time home buyer, but it's a little different in that that means that they just haven't purchased a home as their primary residence within 3 years.
3 years.
So let's get into calculation for an ownership unit. For a 2-bedroom, but at moderate income, because again, all the ownership units would be moderate. So according to SMC's limits, the limit for a low-income household with an assumed household size of 3 people, considering that the assumed size is 1.5 persons per bedroom, is gonna be $201,500. By dividing that by 12 months, that ends up coming out to around $16,791. Then multiplying that by 30%, that gives us about $5,000, $5,037 as the maximum BMR housing payment for this unit. But you also have to factor in property taxes, insurance, HOA fees, and that will actually end up being subtracted from the maximum price of the unit to be around like $4,000, $4,021. And then also applying a 6.3 monthly average interest rate, which would result in about $500, $800.
Just to clarify. Yeah, please note the $1,250, those are just estimates, just kind of show you how we calculate. But we do take out, because $5,037 is the max. And just to point out, everyone understands where that 30% comes from?
Yeah, 30% of your income to.
Yes, the federal government has said no more than 30%, so. And just at a 6.3 interest rate for 30 years. Using 3787 as a monthly payment. That will be a house for about 550,000.
So that should be a K.
Yeah, it should be 550.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's my fault.
Yeah.
I forgot the K.
So that's how we kind of calculate BMR purchase prices.
Now, the other thing is that a BMR unit, when it's sold, it's gonna have a purchase price that's lower than the market, right?
Yes, it's certainly, typically it's about $1 million below, typically. Yeah, but.
I'm not slated. No worries. Okay, so moving forward into monitoring. So by July 1st, all BMR owners must verify that the unit is their primary residence. We refer to that as monitoring. And the certification forms are sent out to each owner. And we also require verification in form of like insurance or utility bill. Then we have our legacy list. So the city no longer actually makes any updates to the BMR purchase waiting list. It was like established in like the 1990s. It's quite old. And instead the names were actually transferred into a different list, which is called the BMR purchase legacy list. As of 2021, that was per council. And each year, the city will request the updated contact information from each household that's on that list. That would include like changes to like household size, your income, like contact information, things like that. Each household is contacted via email and through mail, just so we can cover everyone who might not have access. And then failure to respond will result in the removal of the legacy list. And then once that list is exhausted, it's going to be terminated altogether. And lastly, just want to get into non-residential in lieu fees. So in lieu fees, like I think I mentioned on one of my first slides, they're paid by developers when providing a BMR unit is either not feasible or if any commercial developments over 10,000 square feet want to build in the city. Those paid fees go into the city's BMR housing fund, and that can be accessed by organizations to develop sites by submitting a NOFA application, and NOFA stands for Notice of Funding Availability. The NOFA process essentially announces the availability of the funds and seeks proposals from different organizations for affordable housing projects, including like 100% affordable housing projects. And eligible types of projects include preserving existing affordable homes, acquiring new properties, new construction, and ownership housing for low-income households.
So this is non-residential means like, wants to build another big campus, they have to put some money in.
That's correct.
Yes. And just, it's based on a certain square footage, price per square foot.
And that concludes my BMR 101 presentation, and I will go ahead and return the meeting to the chair.
All right. Well, thank you for the presentation. And we can open things up for public comment on the item.
Justin.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
So there's no one here in person for public comments, and we don't have anyone online either.
All right, well, now we can get back to and have some either clarifying questions or discussion. So I think we had a few during the presentation that were graciously answered. Hopefully it wasn't too disjointing, but does anyone else have some comments or questions?
I know, I
Yeah.
can't say, please wait. So-
Yeah, you're great. So, I think we are. So I do work in an affordable housing facility.
Mhm.
And I think last week we talked about displacement. And there's a bit of a gap between, and ideally people are transitioning through the affordable housing. But the gap, the step is so high, right? From transitioning from affordable, if you earn too much, people are actually afraid to earn too much.
Mhm.
Some people I've worked with, people say, oh, don't increase my pay, I'll lose my medical insurance. Don't increase my pay, I'll lose my housing.
You have a question?
Yes, I do.
I was trying to understand.
Yes, I mean, we're looking at displacement, is the fact that the step there is what's the alternative, is people moving out, right, to where they can afford.
Let me ask a question there. So
Right.
they get their notice that you're making too much now. You have 2 years or maybe 2.5 years.
Yes, two consecutive years,
Two,
so.
but you might already been a half year or into it or whatever when you're, before you have to inform, because I take it it's a certain time of year, they do the certification.
August.
And
So you August.
July.
You get your pay increase in January, you say it and you tell people in July, that means you have until 2 Julys to
Figure it out.
figure it out, yeah. That would still maybe not enough, but it's at least not abrupt.
Right.
Right, so
Yes.
that's-
Was my question clear? Is that considered displacement if people can't?
Oh,
I see the
now,
question.
I was.
Is that considered, I'm connecting the dots.
Oh.
because it's-
Oh, we'd have to look into that.
Okay, there you go.
Because, affordable housing is specialized niche. And I don't know if that necessarily falls, and we'd have to research whether that actually constitutes displacement or not. There are probably some other areas,
Something to think about.
parameters.
If you
Yeah,
can-
no.
it's something to think about.
No.
Let's
it's a
be-
good question.
Does that show up in the numbers?
There is a definition of displacement.
Well, they don't get displaced, they would go to market rate rents.
Right, but if they
Yeah.
can't afford, if market rate is unaffordable, but they're above the BMR unit, like there might be
Then
a window in there.
Yeah.
that's a little
Yeah.
gray area.
Yeah.
Yes, you could say it's almost a systematic type thing, but
Yeah.
that's for another time.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
That's a good question.
It's a really good question, and there is a definition of displacement, I believe, but.
And I see Commissioner Wong has
Yeah.
a question
Yeah.
or comment perhaps.
No, mine is a question. So, in terms of the income levels, are they updated every year. So if, generally wages are decreasing, like, is that also reflected? Or is there like a 5-year time lag? Just kind of curious as to how frequently those levels of income are assessed.
Yeah, they're updated annually, so every year by HCD.
I have, before we move on too much, I had a question about the, like, basically eligibility of owners. So I guess reading the BMR guidelines, it was a little unclear to me if you can own a BMR unit and then become ineligible for it, or if it's only renting. Cause I understand that, like, there's a yearly requirement to, like, provide proof of residence, but is there also an ongoing, like, income requirement?
Oh, for the.
No,
No.
BMR ownership are
Only
different.
attached to the sale.
It's only, yeah,
That they would, okay,
yes.
Okay.
It's forecasted like a year ahead.
gotcha,
And then, because part of the goal of an ownership.
right, it would be a little
Is to-
weird.
Ownership,
Would be
Yeah,
pushed back,
okay,
I
a little
wanted to back up.
intergenerational wealth.
Yeah,
Some
sure.
appreciation.
Yeah, um, someone else can go, I'll find the other related question I had, one second.
I just had a question about, the BMR purchase, legacy list and how long the old list was around. How much of this, BMR, housing do we do in Menlo Park? I mean, I get the sense that, yeah, anyway, I'm just curious about purchasing, like, how many units are on the market, have been put on the market in the last, like,
They don't turn
since
over very much, I don't
2021.
think. Yeah.
I'm just curious, I'm talking about buying, I mean, it sounds lovely, but like, how much are we really doing?
I'm trying to think of like pipeline projects that it seems like the majority of them have been rental.
Yeah,
So,
I know there are a couple in SRI, but that's,
yeah, that's
The
further down.
townhouses,
Yeah.
SRI.
yeah, those were,
Yeah, Commissioner Dumont, so it's developer driven, so whatever the developer proposes. Then, the program says, we, 15%. It must be set aside as affordable per our guidelines.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like the market, as Commissioner Switzer said. I think most developers are looking at rental at this point.
Yeah, so it depends,
So it really depends on the market.
developers doing
And
multi-family units, which
Rental units.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't mean purchase.
Oh, purchase.
I think
Purchase, I
I
think
think the
basically
last
have to be
purchase
building
units were in
townhouses,
Linfield Oaks,
basically.
I think. There's the new development there in like, 2005 or something like that.
Yeah, there hasn't been many. Affordable, excuse me. Proposed ownership
Yeah.
developments. Yeah.
Seems like it's non-existent, but I don't know. And then the BMR Housing Fund, did I hear that, that's basically been like done to zero? Is that correct?
No, per a fee that was just recently paid, there was some, but we have approximately 5 million. And so,
yeah.
Is that nothing? I could be confusing that with another fund.
Some just
we had
got
for
committed to the
housing.
teachers' housing, right?
Yeah,
yes, $1 million was committed to 320 Sheridan.
yeah,
Gotcha.
that came before
The new,
the housing commission for recommendation. I
Yeah,
think
yes.
it was an
Oh, yeah.
expansion, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
600,000 or so to add to the additional initial commitment.
Yeah, the request was for 600,000. It was recommended by the housing commission for 600,000, but when it went to council.
They wanted to.
Yeah, and just a quick note in regards to the NOFA. The NOFA is held every 2 years, even years.
I see.
But it was not held in 24 because at that time. That's, you might have heard, at that time.
That may be not.
Yeah.
Down to zero.
Yes,
Zero.
or it was less than $1 million, so it just didn't seem. Prudent to release such a small.
I have some questions about, I guess, the legacy list, which is how many people remain on?
As of right now, so we have not gone through with the removal process yet.
I see.
So everyone is still remaining on, we started off with, I think, 125 people. There have been 2 to 3 that have opted out, remaining on it. So that will be updated, and then with the removal of people who did
Oh.
not respond.
So you're actually describing a new process where we're starting to scrub it. Is that true? Or has
Well, I
it
think
been
it was
around?
always. supposed
It
to-
was always in the guidelines, but we're just
Do we-
kind of scrubbing
Actually,
it down,
yeah.
but
Okay, so it hasn't been scrubbed in past years, so it's somewhere less than 125, but we don't know exactly where at the moment.
Yeah.
I guess sort of related to that, section 7.1.1 exceptions, there's a clause about a BMR purchase list prior to 2010. Is there anyone left of that?
what?
It's under the section 7.1.1 exceptions. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer if you are on the list. Of BMR applicants whose names were placed on the BMR purchase waiting list prior to March 2nd, 2010.
So if that's the same list that was from long ago,
Okay,
that council then closed in 2021. but
okay,
it
so
was
that's the
renamed.
same list.
Yeah,
so
it was
it's different.
renamed from
It
the
includes-
purchase legacy list, or the purchase waiting list to the legacy list. So it's essentially the same list.
Okay, I guess. I will. Sure.
All right.
Is, one more question. There's that wonderful map on the website. Is that kind of up to date nowadays? Does it have like spring line and some of the?
no, that it needs to be
It's not
updated.
Yeah.
And yes, it needs to be updated, but one of the things we're looking at is we're trying to steer away from static maps. So,
That means IT has to get involved.
we're looking into how to upgrade the website.
Incorporating
I
GI.
can understand.
Is that a list of BMR units?
It's actually, they actually have a map of where
Oh,
they're
yeah.
located and
And if
ownership.
you scroll down, it lists the ownership.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I did have, sorry, one more question. So, I know there's the options of either paying a new fee or providing BMR units, and the guidelines do state that like there's a strong preference for actually providing BMR units.
Mhm.
What's the rough breakdown when we see new projects? Like, are we typically able to bring developers to deliver those units, or do people go for the fees?
I would.
Yeah.
So from the agreements that I've looked over, they provided the units.
Okay.
There is a possibility that, like, say it comes out to like a fraction.
Mhm.
So say you have like, it comes out to 3.75 units. So in that case, either the developer would have to give 4 BMR units, designate 4 of them, or they would do 3 and then pay
a
like a portion of the in lieu fee.
Okay,
To, like,
that
supplement
that
that.
makes sense. Thank you.
No,
It feels to me like the council also leans in on actually producing housing as opposed to in lieu unless there's some unshakable obstacle to that.
Yes, I will say the pendulum has swung back and forth. Before there used to be fees, but fees take a while to accumulate to purchase. And so now it's
Deliver.
fees, because those units can be delivered in a faster.
This is really helpful to go over this, it does raise a lot of questions, the. One question I had was, on the qualification of the number of people, do the people, in a BMR unit have to be related? How do they do in?
I don't
No,
No.
we do not define a household or a
Mhm.
family. And so if they want to, yeah,
There
just
was
whatever,
definition.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
Real got the note.
Sorry,
Household probably or something.
yeah, it's probably in section
It
seven
was,
somewhere.
it's just a curiosity, mostly. You know, I could totally see.
Generally, it's not like more restrictive of having, say, like a blood relation or something like that, so.
Okay, here it is. All members must currently live together, blah, 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 and must have continuously lived together for a minimum of 1 year. With exceptions that make it easier if you're a new marriage or children are born or adopted or things like that. But like basically, you have to have been living together for a year, but otherwise that's,
we cannot define.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I guess kind of.
And that's for ownership. or not,
Technically, that's just for
renting
what would be
as
the
well,
house.
Or just, oh,
Household
okay,
in general.
got it.
The household is a group of people who have been living together for a year or more,
Ah.
plus some exceptions.
For things.
All right,
And when the question is, this the 4 units or less, there's no BMR requirement. Is that kind of a standard? Cause it seems like it incentivizes developers to not build, to only build 4 units and not have to worry about it.
Oh.
But I guess that's just
Right.
an observation and I don't wanna get into a big thing, but
I'm
I-
pretty sure I read something about this, but correct me if I'm wrong here, that there was a clause somewhere about if developers are found to be like doing a lot of 4-unit developments next to each other, that counts as a larger unit at the city's discretion.
Yeah. And as we do BMR guideline revisions.
Yeah,
I'll kind of touch upon that.
got it. Alright,
Okay,
thank you.
yeah.
Just the new, not a newbie question. So
Uh-huh.
Thanks.
I have one last one, no pros, but, I guess. I was curious about I guess I hadn't heard about the process for converting BMR units to market rate and then having another unit become BMR, is that at landlord's discretion? So, I guess this was during your discussion of over income.
No, it's, they're called floating units.
Okay.
And it's a clause that, to make sure that, a set number of BMR units are continuously BMR.
Okay.
And it's based on city approval.
Okay,
So,
so the city does get involved at some point in that process.
yes, we wanna make sure that.
Yeah.
Part of kind of like the review that the unit they propose is similar.
Right, and I assume during that process, the like equal distribution goals would also be
All
applied.
those different things, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Are all part of the consideration, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
In the review, yeah. Okay.
well, seeing no further comments and questions, we can move on to some regular business. Under regular business, the Housing Commission receives informational presentations in addition to considering policy matters and administrative actions. So for our first regular business item, we have E1 on the agenda, and it is to approve the Housing Commission meeting minutes from the August 6th, 2025 meeting, as well as the September 3rd, 2025 meeting. And with that, I can open the item up for public comment. And do we have any public comment?
We do not have any public comment in person or online.
Right, well. Are there any clarifying questions, discussion, grammatical errors,
Yeah, please.
edits?
I think one of our meetings was in Elm and. One of our meetings was in a different room.
The one with the
And it-
fireplace, yeah.
But it says that correctly on the
It
August
is.
one, correct?
Is it right?
August is correct.
August is correct.
Okay,
So
thanks.
admittedly, I managed to lose the September page, so I don't have comments on that, but.
Okay, cool.
I believe it was noted.
Yeah.
The correction, yeah.
I just wanted to go.
Yeah, I think September says Elm Room.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, one of,
It says Elm.
Because September, we were back in.
so
oh,
we were
right.
here,
Yeah.
so we were here.
September.
Okay, so that could be
So
an
that's
area
the one
there
that's-
as well, but. Yeah.
Notice that we're.
Well, hearing that, I would like to make a motion that we approve, let's see, is this structured where we have to do both at the same or just consecutively? Or,
You can do both of the
Okay.
same motion, or just add that.
so, I motion that we approve the meeting minutes from August sixth and September third with the friendly amendment to review the meeting location and have that accurately represented.
One second.
Alright, so we have a motion by Chair Switzer and a second by Commissioner Dumont to approve the Housing Commission meeting minutes for August sixth, 2025 and September 3rd, 2025 with the amendments correcting the room, meeting replacement. I will now do roll call vote. Vice Chair Beely is absent. Commissioner Chapa.
Are we doing both of them?
Yes.
I wasn't here August.
Okay,
Do you trust us?
you
I
you
get
have
that.
the option of abstaining
You can
because you were
Abstain for that.
there.
If you're doing both, I abstain.
No worries.
That's a good point.
Commissioner Dumont,
I,
Commissioner Crane,
Aye.
Commissioner Osler.
Aye.
Chair Switzer
Aye.
and Commissioner Wong.
I,
Okay.
Well, Commissioner Chapa, would you like to vote on the minutes you were here on?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do two separate motions.
So do we wanna
I
re-vote?
gotta,
No, just August 8th as amended.
you mean September
Right.
as amended.
August 6th as a, oh.
Okay, well,
Wait, okay, hold
it
on.
might be cleaner to do what we just did since we voted, but more than welcome to open it up, but I think we would have to do two separate motions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so. Okay.
Undoing that.
Okay, so we wanna keep, but we wanna keep the.
Well, I'm not
motions
sure
for-
which
for the
meeting
first one.
had the wrong
September.
Oh, September.
September, okay.
Yeah, so we'll do August first.
Okay.
We'll keep both of your motions as, especially because you're abstaining from that one.
Okay.
So, okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Switzer and a second by Commissioner Dumont to approve the Housing Commission meeting minutes for August sixth. Do roll call again. Vice Chair Beely is absent. Commissioner Chapa is abstaining. Okay, Commissioner Dumont,
I,
Commissioner Crane,
Aye.
Commissioner Osler,
Aye.
Chair Switzer,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wong.
I,
Okay, so the motion passes 6-0-1 with one abstain.
Two abstaining because Beely isn't here and Chapa.
Or excuse me. The motion passes 6-1-1. 5-1-1,
Five.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't do that.
Okay.
Motion passes 5-1-1 with one absence and one abstain. Okay, so moving on to the next set of minutes.
Right.
We need a motion and a second motion for that.
Does anyone want to make a motion?
I would, but that's the page I lost, so I feel.
you wanna make a motion?
Sure, with the provision that there would be the correction.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need one more.
I second.
Oh,
Thank you.
sorry.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Chapa and a second by Chair Switzer to approve the Housing Commission meeting minutes for September 3rd with the amendments on the meeting room. So we're gonna do a roll call vote. Vice Chair Beely is absent. Commissioner Chapa,
Right.
Commissioner Dumont,
I,
Commissioner Crane,
Aye.
Commissioner Osler.
Aye.
Chair Switzer
Yes.
and Commissioner Wong.
I,
Okay, motion passes 6-1. 601 with Feely absent. Okay,
We got through.
thank goodness.
All right.
Well. Next, we have E2, to consider, to make a recommendation to city council on the proposed revisions to the below market rate housing program guidelines. And we will have a presentation by, housing manager Tim Wong.
Okay, just waiting for the presentation. Okay,
So
so,
this is on the blue line in the presentation or in the regs.
oh,
It's all blue lined in.
oh, yes, with the track change. So in your staff report, you have the proposed track changes draft in one copy and then a clean copy, if you will. So next slide. So as Ariana mentioned in the earlier presentation, the BMR guidelines do implement the city's BMR housing program. And it governs administrative practices such as definition of a first-time home buyer, compliance types, requirements, how we calculate BMR rents and sales prices, like 30% of monthly income, establishing commercial linkage fees, and BMR tenant selection, which you've heard some about. And this is specifically BMR guidelines are helping implement certain housing element programs too. In that, I think it's housing program H4B and C. It's either A or B or B and C. Talk about revising the BMR guidelines. So this is helping implement housing element programs. Next slide. This is the first of two planned rounds, just, so these revisions in front of you are wholly administrative with clarifications. And just even talking about, as Ariana mentioned, they have to be comparable units. So it just helps clarify what comparable means. Round two is in the future with more substantial program changes. One of those is the city's in the process of preparing what is known as a nexus study, where that nexus study will review, as mentioned now, 20 units or more is required to provide 15%. And so the nexus study will look is 15% at low income, for example, still feasible? Can we go to 20%? Should we look at 80% AMI? Should we look at 65% AMI to set rents? Will that pencil out in our project? So that is round two, where once the nexus study is completed, we may revise some of our requirements based on that nexus study. And that should be done by the end of next year.
Can I ask you just a quick question? Hopefully it's quick.
Sure.
I know that the comparable units is also kind of embedded in new state law, right? There's kind of the comparable unit requirement for the 20% that's in, I guess it's all, when you do a bonus density or you do builder's remedy, there's also there's a 20% and it's got to be comparable. And so does it also come down from state laws to conform?
No, this is just, I will say these administrative clarifications have come from staff dealings with past projects.
Okay.
It's just to clarify, yeah.
It is good because it sounds like it makes it match up also with kind of some of the requirements of state law, which are not there for BMR per se, but for some of the other BMR. I'm very familiar with builder's remedy and some of the bonus density stuff. And that has the 20%, it's gotta be 20% BMR and it's gotta be comparable. And so I guess it kind of brings some continuity to it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will say, I haven't seen those, the definition of comparable, but this probably goes. Probably beyond, but
Same finish, same number of bathrooms per, yeah, whatever.
yeah, they might have, anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, same,
Okay.
a very similar, yes. So next slide.
Sorry.
And some of the proposed revisions talk about parking. We're adding parking as utility, so in other words, it must be included, and if there's a charge for it, it must be reduced from the rental. Proportional ratio also is that speaks specifically to unbundled parking. That if a developer is going with unbundled parking, that it still must set aside a portion of that unbundled parking for BMR units. And in terms of parking, we're also kind of exploring how to work with proportionality with even bundled parking to make sure that the parking is distributed proportionally along with the BMR units. But we're still going through that process. Size and location of BMR units, it used to be in one paragraph and we're just breaking it down, specifically outlining size, specifically outlining just number of bedrooms, those type of things, location. Design and materials, again, same thing, just kind of breaking it down to a little more specific. Tenant selection and certification procedures. This one is just saying that the property manager for a particular BMR unit is not eligible to stay in those BMR units in the complex that they're managing. They're eligible for any other BMR complex, just not specifically that one.
Or if they want to give it as a benefit, it has to be a market rate unit.
Yes, it's just partially to avoid that, the optics of impropriety, if you will. And so just to completely separate it from that. Again, these are more administrative, nothing really substantial. Next slide.
Mhm.
In addition, updating the household income with 2025 data. The last revision had 23, so that has been in the BMR guidelines for the past 2 years. Updating that, maximum affordable rent payment. With the standardization of the assumed household size, we're specifically saying 1.5 per bedroom. Occupancy standards, we're increasing those. So that's, and occupancy standards deal with the maximum occupancy standards. And last but not least, commercial in lieu fees, we updated it with 2025. As those get updated every July 1st, so we're just updating that. Next slide. As mentioned, the second round of revisions, including the Nexus study, whatever that may be, will be at the end of 2026. And again, we'll be reviewing the city's 15%, the commercial linkage fee, should that be increased, decreased? And area median income percentage at which rents are set. Again, is it at 80%? Is it at 65%? Because understanding the city's, the county's high median income. Other revisions, looking at changes in the title on ownership, what happens if somebody changes ownership, and requirements for 100% affordable residential projects. It's like, should they be exempt from the 15% because they're 100% affordable? That's just one of the things that we are looking at. In regards to changes to title specifically, when a change of title, whether that be from a person, a household to a living trust, how do we deal with that?
Mm,
Because understanding that more homeowners to avoid probate are encouraged to go with living trust. So, that's one of the issues that, or items that we may be exploring for the second round. Next. So, again, staff recommendation that the housing commission consider the proposed revisions and recommend approval to the city council. So that concludes staff's presentation.
Well, thank you for that. And let's open things up for public comment.
There are no public comments in person online.
All right, well, turning it back to the commission, if there's any clarifying questions, or comments, discussion.
I have two questions, I think. So one is about the parking units. So are those applied retroactively to existing BMR units, or is it on new units that would have to treat parking as retail?
Oh, great question. These would be revisions for projects moving forward.
Okay. And then, my other question was, I guess that fits to the household limits. That doesn't change the household size used for pricing. It's only the maximum occupancy that's allowable for each unit.
Over the occupancy, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
That does not change it. That was a question.
Right, it does not change the price, it just changes how many people are allowed to live there, is my understanding. Yeah. Okay.
You had another one?
I was just gonna say, I have other things that maybe fall into the suggestion of like for the next phase, and we talk about that, but I will leave those until after this current set of emissions.
Other than, is it 985, the 7 units coming up, and Parkline, are there any projects on book that they going to be the first to be exposed to these new guidelines?
I would say those applications are already in, so they would be grandfathered, just to, these BMR revisions will be going to the city council, October 21st. So any application that comes in after the 21st would be subject to these,
that's a good
revisions.
question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make just one comment. I mean, I thought that the whole set of tables, I guess they weren't in there, but they're going to be the tables. I thought that was, those are really, really, really good additions, so that's all there in kind of black and white, so. Whoever's gonna do those, that's huge.
Yeah, just I think a few comments, I definitely am supportive of, the staff's recommendation on the item. I think that these changes for, say, like the parking, some of the size and location of the units and, just the material design of the said units, tenant selection procedures, all of that, stuff, and updating with the current 2025 data. It really makes things a little bit more explicit, up to date, and more predictable for developers when they're coming in, and it, you know, has the potential probably to reduce some staff review time when you know, these things are more streamlined and it's kind of buttoned up, if you will, with these updates. So I think it's a great start, and definitely am looking forward to the future updates when we can kind of dive in a little bit more and have maybe some more thoughts about like what we could add beyond just kind of these administrative cleanup of the items. So
I am gonna ask other questions, since I asked it earlier, but I kind of now reforming it in my mind. When BMR units come in through a different pathway, i.e. again, builder's remedy, bonus density, they're gonna be subject to these same requirements, right?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
I had one question about, the commercial include fees, just a general question about, kind of where those, are those like a standard in the area they set uniquely to Menlo Park and just kind of how those get set. You have to kind of like where that number comes
It's
from.
the Menlo Park number, but how do you pick that number?
Yeah,
Oh, yes, so that's where the Nexus study will study like feasibility studies. Part of it is how much they can charge, how much a jurisdiction could charge, without,
Timing all
bankrupting-
development.
Yeah, torpedoing the development. So there's number one, the feasibility, and then, as part of that. The Nexus study may provide a recommendation, because. You can, the Nexus study may say you can charge up to this amount, but realistically. Is, do you wanna charge that potentially disturb?
right now you're in the darks a little bit about what where your fees land, where our fees land and.
Yes.
We're adjusting them. Based on something, but
Because, yeah, I think the last Nexus study, we had to study some of these numbers. Has been a while, so this will refresh or confirm.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Thanks, that. See.
Commissioner Wong, go ahead.
Thank you. So I had a question on 5.2.2. So there's this addition that the planning commission and or the city council will have the authority to waive design and material requirements. So how does that process work? Is it sort of just a vote at a planning commission meeting, or is it more than that? And does that mean there could be a scenario where you do have BMR units that look quite different from market rate units? Is that how I should understand this change?
Yeah, I think that would come on a really project by project scenario. If for whatever reason that the developer may need some, lack of a better word, relief from some of these BMR requirements, it's something that they could potentially request. So this does give the council or planning commission a little leeway in reviewing and approving these BMR requirements. I will say, that being said, have not seen that per se. I don't think, so, but it does give them that flexibility.
Especially
Thank you.
if their emphasis on delivery rather than fee, I think makes sense.
And I think there is language in there, tying it back to, if the, say like exception is granted that, the council or the planning commission is doing it for the purposes of carrying out the BMR program. And, or the housing element. So it's really tied back to that to see like if, something undue, material choice would prevent this developer for penciling a project out, that exception probably could move forward, was my understanding of it, so.
Gotcha.
Yes, it's just additional flexibility.
I assume, I guess if anyone else has comments on that, that's fine. If people are open to it and it's in scope and it may not be in scope, that's fine. Do we have time to go over suggestions for what we want to look at for future changes?
Or should we confirm this first and then?
Yeah,
Okay.
why don't we just, complete the business.
And then we
At
can have that
hand?
discussion.
Yeah.
Sure.
And just on that note, a little bit further, I think that, we will, or at least hopefully will have a more robust discussion when that does come in the future.
Okay.
But,
Certainly will.
yeah, so.
If I should store my notes
Put
for later.
it on the waiting list.
Yeah. All right,
So I probably would put a pin in that and then,
Alright.
so we can do the.
well, I'm happy to make a motion to recommend this to council.
I'll second.
Perfect.
Okay, so it looks like we have a motion by Commissioner Osler and a second by Commissioner Cranen to recommend approval to the city council the proposed revisions to the below market rate housing program guidelines. I will now do a roll call vote. Vice Chair Bingley is absent. Commissioner Chapa,
Yes.
Commissioner Dumont,
Yes.
Commissioner Cranen,
Yes.
Commissioner Osler,
Yes.
Chair Swinton,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wong.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 6-0-1 with one absence.
All right. Well. Do we have any individual commissioner updates?
Let me just ask if someone's gonna do an update on what the public works, because I'm sorry I missed it, but.
Oh, I can talk about that.
I was gonna ask for the same thing.
Yeah, I guess I was there for at least most of the event on Saturday. It was great. I think it was very family focused. There was some interest in our materials, but it was fairly light, I would say. I think, a lot of kids and
There are other attractions, huh?
yeah, but I mean, we did hand out some resource pamphlets. There was a few people who came by with general questions about the BMR program. One person who came by kind of seeking specific advice about how to like get their friends application in. I forget exactly. I did not handle that one, but it was answered. And yeah, I mean, it was a great time. Seemed super neat and glad I went.
And due to the poor response from the Bellhaven community on the questionnaire on the parking, I was given some flyers which I gave to Bellhaven Action. Because they're more active there to see how we can increase the participation of Bellhaven residents to input for the parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great event, a great opportunity to meet and say thank you for the services that the different departments give in the community there.
Just have a brief update on 9/9. I gave the
Oh, yeah.
report out to council. But didn't receive any questions from council, but there were only a few comments on generally receptive of, the work that we're doing here. And I think they were really intrigued to hear the presentation that was given later that evening about the item that we heard today. So the BMR guidelines. So I think definitely just our continued efforts here, while we are a recommending body, I think that, our work here is important and our continued efforts are going noticed, so.
Say thank you and present.
Yeah, thank you.
And.
Thanks.
And then at last night's city council meeting, which went into the wee hours, and they did approve the work plans.
Oh, awesome.
But there was a question from council member Taylor about moving up priority on the anti-displacement and,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, the exact language, but it was, and then I think she thought that there was some of the stuff wasn't in the work plan, but then they went back and looked at the work plan. Okay, it's in there, so. It was, anyway, it's at the very end, near the very end of the recording, if you know, so I.
Oh, you
but it
watched
was
it?
quite late.
Yeah.
It
I think I technically listened to it, but I was called in and falling asleep.
Yeah,
So I'll go back and.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a blur, but
Yeah.
it was interesting. They asked about some specifics and whether they were in the work plan or not, and whether priority could be moved up and timeline to. But anyway,
So we should all listen through and see what we make of it. Maybe that's what we should do.
Nothing.
Suggest you may wanna take a look.
Yeah, it's worth it. At
The,
about hour 4.
they started a non-public portion at 5:30, so this is 12:37 hours.
I guess on a similar note, I did find the discussion of the anti-displacement stuff. When that came before council, interesting. I guess I won't pretend to summarize it, but I think it'd be worth listening to before it comes before us.
Well, moving on to an ad hoc report out. We had a continued, or rolling, I guess, item on the agendas for this. I'll probably be the first to admit as a member of the ad hoc that there have, aside from creating the list that was presented at the last meeting, not many efforts have been taken beyond the creation of that list. But I definitely think seeing it here on the agenda today, bringing it to the forefront of my priority list to definitely start to tackle. And I think probably on that note too, thinking of planning something, as we're drawing close to the end of the year, having something ready so we don't miss Housing Month next year for having an event. So perhaps in the next couple of months, we can try to plan something and work with staff to ensure that we at least hold one event as detailed in our work plan. And try to arrange that.
Which
for Housing Month.
is Housing Month?
It's May.
May.
Yeah.
Me is.
Affordable housing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And on that note, also, we were talking about having a meeting in Baltic and. And I bet that takes some planning, so I'm guessing this would be into 2026 that we'd be thinking about that.
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess last time pitching that, maybe we should do the December meeting,
Ah,
if possible,
maybe.
because that was when.
Staff has an update about that.
Oh, what?
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Don't wanna jump in,
Yeah, yeah.
we're still talking
Yeah.
about community engagement.
Yeah,
I mean, one question since we're divided into districts, is it appropriate to ask councilperson Taylor what she would expect in her, district, or what would be helpful in her district?
Let me ask about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Cause I think that's,
Yeah.
getting asked is always a good thing, I think, yeah.
Well. Do we have any recommendations for future agenda items?
So November, you will be reviewing a VMR agreement for ownership units.
Oh,
Yes,
Okay,
is this
and
the generic one though was it for
No,
specific?
no, it's for a specific project.
Oh, wow.
And so that will be in November.
okay,
And then December will be, tentatively speaking, a review of the anti-displacement plan for your recommendation. Yes. And so in conjunction to that, seeing how the anti-displacement plan is focused on Bellhaven, we're looking at potentially a meeting in December for that. The planning commission is scheduled to review the plan in December also. So if they do it in Bellhaven, we're looking at the logistics,
Okay,
but that's something that we're looking at doing at Bellhaven in December. So those are some future agenda items for the next couple of months.
any other announcements or updates or?
No other staff update would have been, last night the annual plan got approved. Please take a look, based on council comments. But other than that,
Well, you also said what Parkline got approved, yeah? Or or some, there was an approval, right?
yes, the Parkline project was approved. I don't know, it was specifically the development agreement, but
That means that there's.
the general development, yes. If development or agreement gets approved, that means that the city and the developer are pretty much on this.
There were like,
Same.
yeah, three specific, like some of it was like rezoning something,
Yeah.
and but my impression was that it. Parts of it will start coming by at some point.
Okay.
But that,
But certainly, that is a major milestone.
yeah,
Right.
So it certainly is moving forward. And that got approved last night. And just as an update, staff took, just, the anti-displacement plan recommendations to council on September 9th. Ariane did a fantastic job presenting. It was late, another late session, but they were very supportive of staff's recommendations. In addition, they wanted us to look at the rent registry.
Mhm.
Also, there were a couple public comments about extending just cause evictions. Typically, it's after a year, but to have those protections start day one or day two, if you will. Also to look at increasing tenant relocation up to 4 months. Yeah. Those were the general comments that were received by council and given direction to pursue those comments or those suggestions from the public. So we are in the process of doing that, right? Yeah.
Just so I understand, because I'm new, how's the flow of topics to be discussed? Is it one way council staff here? Or are you asking also the suggestions that we can originate as?
are you saying like you have something you'd want to put on the agenda?
Something like that.
I think, yeah, you can make that as part of a three.
Oh,
right,
okay,
for kind of.
so I think I don't know if you've ever discussed ADUs.
We have not discussed ADUs, just a little more detail.
Yeah, as somebody
about the production or marketing.
I am familiar with several organizations that offer interest-free loans to have an ADU built on your property, and I was partly involved trying to encourage them. I think the organization covered East Palo Alto and Bellhaven.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that it's the model would work better in Bellhaven. Because it offers, if we consider it, it offers not just additional housing, but also owners have come to understand that rent, not just that, but also retirement.
Oh,
You
yeah.
move into the back, and so it's a pretty versatile model to consider, especially for the Bellhaven ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we have time, yeah, time to think about.
Are you,
Yeah, so I guess if we're thinking about future agenda items, what would perhaps having, maybe an idea of the number of like ADU permits that the city is
Correct.
produced or something like that, like a general report out, or, I mean,
It also sounds like,
I know that we've
I'm a
had,
little fuzzy on exactly how NOFA process works, but like that would be something that you could look at providing. Something like the interest-free loans program could be something that maybe a BMR program could be built around.
Or just another resource
I
for
think-
housing, yeah.
yeah, I
But
think,
I know that would be a longer term.
yeah. I know we had a report out at the beginning of the year about some of the just housing production in
Mhm.
general.
Housing
Um,
production.
yeah, that is every March.
Right.
Yes. about the city's production
Right.
of ADUs.
Right.
But if you're talking about financing, we can discuss more. It's just to understand better. Do you want to know about the numbers? How ADUs can be part of a BMR program? Because if it's the latter, I know I can just talk to you. Jurisdictions have looked into it.
Okay.
However, or are you thinking of a presentation from some of these?
Well,
Or
I guess.
so just trying to better
It
understand, but I.
Towards the housing element.
Yes, they do,
Yeah.
but that's a,
That's bottom.
we're getting off topic, but
Oh,
I'll be
okay.
happy to talk to you more
More of it, okay.
about ADUs and how they apply to RENA and et cetera, et cetera.
I guess-
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is more as just like curiosity, but I would be supportive of some sort of report out on ADUs or the issues around ADUs generally, if there's enough there, but that's.
okay, maybe
That's
the
in March.
report out in March,
Yeah,
we
in
can
March.
hold those
that
in,
I'd be, yeah.
some of those ADU questions.
All right.
Okay. Very good.
All right, well, there's no other items, meeting adjourned at 7:51.
Okay,
Sounds good.
thank you all.
Hi, Commissioner Wong.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Have a good evening.
You too.